Good afternoon again. Okay, so I've just got 5 minutes. So I'm going to use my 5 minutes to concentrate on one question. And that is whether or not casualisation, precarious work, is compatible with the kind of work that a university is supposed to do, right? Or even the idea of a university. The idea of a university is supposed to be about an integrated community of teachers and scholars, you know. It's supposed to be about academic freedom. And is that compatible with the reality of precarious work? And we know what the reality of precarious work is. We've had a lot of discussion about it the last few weeks and the last couple of months. It's about lives of chronic insecurity. What's happening to teaching in the last few years? Well, we know that long-term teaching needs, sometimes permanent teaching needs that go on for sometimes 10 years, the same work, is being carried out by people with no job security whatsoever, by people that haven't got the opportunity to develop a proper, secure occupational identity, even. Right? Now, this issue has been raised here in this university. Right? It's been raised with staff. There's been staff discussions. It's been raised with students. It's published in Anfuckle this time around. It's been raised with HR a couple of times. It's even been raised with the president. Right? So unless you've been living under a rock on Craggy Island or something, you know that this is a contentious issue in this university. Can you have a healthy internal life? And that has to involve a free and equal exchange of ideas between people. Right? When you have an environment of fear where people are even reluctant to speak up on issues that affect them directly. With precarious work and with ongoing casualisation, what we're doing is we're actually creating an environment that removes the reasons for reciprocity. If you're on part-time or a temporary contract or a special purpose contract or an hourly paid contract, you don't have the reasons for reciprocity and building long-term relationships with colleagues. I mean, if you just think about precariously employed lecturers here, how often do they refer to one another as colleagues? Or how often do they refer to permanent lecturers as colleagues? You know, Micheal said it's the way that they're introduced, right? And they're introduced in large part for purposes of cost and control. I mean, why would you give someone a full-time contract if you can pay somebody a quarter of what you pay? You would have to pay otherwise, you know. Or why would you give someone a full-time contract when you can employ someone and get rid of them and no legal consequences at all of getting rid of that person, right? I think it's time, like Teresa talked about, there's a process of normalisation. I mean, the conditions are bad enough and the pay is bad enough, but the process of normalisation and rationalising of what's going on is even worse. And I think it's time to draw a line in the sand. And as Micheal said earlier on, I think it's the full-time, people with relatively secure contracts will have to take the initial steps. Of course, precariously employed people are going to have to get their act together as well. And students are going to have to get their act together because they're the future people that will be entering into these contracts. There's a necessity to raise expectations among people on casual hours contracts and on temporary and part-time contracts and so on. And to change how we think about collectivity. I mean, as the wonderful Jane McAleavey said, she said there's going to be no progressive change that you are not centrally involved in. We are the collectivity, we are the union. I think it's time for us to organise and it's time for us to act. And I hope to see you at 4 o'clock today. Thank you.